It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
That is correct. I am here with you. Thank you for coming in today here on the patio with me. Today's topic is all about lighting. I did want to talk about landscape lighting this week and go over a few of the reasons why you would want to do landscape lighting if you don't already have landscape lighting. And if you do, I've got some ideas on design and styles and different types of lighting. So that is the topic for today. We'll jump right into it here on this Patio Side Chats, where we give you all your landscaping and gardening tips every week. You can skip all the news and the politics and let's talk about something fun. So why would you want to do landscape lighting? If you don't already have a landscape lighting system, you might not know what you're missing and have an understanding as to why you would want to have a system. And so safety really is first and foremost. If you have steps, if there's any dark areas around your yard where it's just a different feel, really. I mean, when you talk about safety and maybe you're coming home or maybe your wife's coming home by herself, or if it's just dark out in front of your house in the evening, it's got a different feel. You know, if there's dark areas, somebody could be lurking or whatever, even though, I mean, 9 times out of 10, there's nobody there. It just feels like there could be somebody there. So lighting up dark areas throughout the yard not only makes it feel more safe because you can see into those areas and see that there's nobody there. It just feels better, especially backyards too. Even looking out the window from inside the house into the backyard, it's completely black, dark out there. You can't even see your dogs or whatever. It's just nice to have a little ambient light. So safety, my opinion, if that's the only reason you did it, that's enough of a reason right there. Now, once you decide that you want landscape lighting for the safety reasons, you can go beyond those reasons and get into the beauty of it and the functionality and the enjoyment of how you want things to look and that design and the styles. There's so many different types of lighting. So we're going to get into all of that. And if you already have a lighting system, maybe you'll pick up some ideas on how to add more fixtures. Which is, I think, probably the best way to do it. Start with a small lighting system, let it be at night and get dark and live with it for a few weeks before you add a bunch of fixtures. I think that if there were a mistake you could make with lighting, it would be doing way too many fixtures right up front and trying to design the whole thing during the day. It's extremely hard, even for an experienced lighting installer and designer like myself. It still is pretty difficult to really feel how it's going to look in the evening without just being there when it's dark and doing some fine tuning or maybe adding a fixture or two, even on a new system. So the obvious types are the uplights, downlights, path lights, and there's another type of light that you may not be as familiar with called a bollard, which is a column light. They can be tall. They can be as low as 24 inches. I've seen 48 inches. I've seen them as high as 80 inches. The bollards are usually used in commercial properties. If you ever walked around large commercial type properties, big city libraries or big buildings or shopping centers, and you see the big tall, maybe they're 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet high, and they have light in them. They kind of guide you around, and they're pretty wide, 6, 8, sometimes 12 inches around. But they make smaller bollards that have designs to them and can really be effective even in residential landscapes. So where would you use bollards? That would be along pathways is, of course, one spot you would use them. And then also in the garden. Maybe you have a dry creek or an area with some boulders or just an open space in the garden. You can put those bollards in there and shine that pattern, and it looks really cool. I think it's probably one of the neatest light fixtures I've seen are these bollards, and they're coming out with more and more of them all the time. So they're becoming more popular now instead of just your path light, which is they're still viable, and there's a definite good use for those along pathways. It's a little stem comes up like a copper pipe, and then it has a little hat on there, and that's what they call path lights. So you can put the path lights, and again, stay away from doing the runway lighting where you have these two lights across from each other going up very close together as though you were landing a plane on your sidewalk. What you want to do is you want to get lights that are going to be bright enough where they have at least a 4, 5 foot, 6 foot spread on them, and then put them 10, 12 feet apart from each other. It's okay to have dark spots in between because the human eye is very sensitive, and you can see, like, I guess probably taking one step back, the very main focus of design, in my opinion, is no light in anyone's eyes. As soon as you point the light towards someone's eyes, your pupils shrink up, and your eyes won't take in as much light as they can, as you're sitting there looking at a bright light. And if there's any light facing us, I don't know what it is. It's like when you're driving down the freeway and that car's got its bright lights on. What do? We look right at them. I don't know why. I try to stop myself or look away, but there's this attractant thing when we see light, our eyes want to go to it, and then it blinds us. So make 100% sure there's no light in anyone's eyes. That's design 101. And that's why I like the hats on there, and they're down low, and you only see the spray of the light. And any up lights that you're lighting up trees and things, facing them away from where you would be walking normally, and uplight the trees and things. So the basics in design: path lights and uplights. Those two things. If you used 8, 10 lights system, a little transformer, some wire, you should be able to get a decent lighting system if you just use path lights and uplights. So the bowlers would be something that would be in addition to that, something decorative, and you're getting a little more into the design of the system. There's also backlighting can be quite effective. I love doing backlighting. So if you have a tall shrub against a building or a wall, and you put the light behind the shrub, not in front of it, and you cast that light up onto the wall, and you get the plant in front is dark and the wall is lit, and so you get that contrasting effect. When you do that silhouette style with photography, you can silhouette somebody and you see their shape. You can tell it's a person, but you can't see the person. You just see it's because that contrast, and that is really cool to do. It's called backlighting with the uplights. You can use them as backlights. You can also do what's called cross lighting. So if you're uplighting a tree, you don't have to just point it straight up at the sky. You can put one on either side of the tree. If you're facing the tree, one on the left side, one on the right side, and you 45-degree angle them so they cross like an X. They hit the tree in the middle there of the X, and that can be really effective and looks really nice, called cross lighting. Very effective on trees. You can use it on other things as well, but that's one of the main reasons for it. And so, just some simple techniques. And like I said, if you already have a lighting system, maybe you got one light on one tree, you want to add another light, pull that light up, move it over, and add another uplight and do that cross lighting technique. Most lights, and if you don't know this, they're just usually on a ground stake in the ground. They can easily be pulled right out, and there should be enough wire there to move it around. If there's not, it's a pretty simple process of splicing that wire. 2 wire connectors. We're going to talk about connectors and transformers and how to install it in a minute. But right now I wanted to talk about design. So you can splice that wire in there pretty simply, make it longer, and move the fixtures around if you already have an existing system and maybe not as happy as you could be with it. And plants grow, and things change, and so it's a thing that should be looked at every couple of years, say, or as you see something, or even as bulbs are going out, or you're out there cleaning the fixtures. Now I say that, and of course most of them everything's LED now, but even just cleaning the fixtures up, cleaning the lenses, getting the dirt off of them and the grime and the bird duty or whatever's on there. They need to be cleaned, and you can do it in the evening and then take a look at how the system's doing and how it looks. And if there's any lights out or if there's a break in the wire or something. So now let's talk about the installation of a system briefly. And I'll go over it with you, and then we'll kind of go over why you would want to have it professionally installed or why you would want to just, do the system installation yourself. So basically, if you're going to tackle it yourself, you need a transformer, wire, and the lights. Not very complicated, pretty simple stuff. The design, I think, could possibly be a little bit harder, but if you follow some rules of thumb, like I said, don't do the runway lighting, space them out 10, 12 feet on path lights and triangulate them. Go on one side of the walk, 10 feet down the walk, go on the other side of the walk, 10 feet down, go on the other side of the walk, and that'll make a nice little triangle. And you can keep going down if you have a longer light. Steps, very important that you get either step lights or some sort of lighting that will light the steps. So entries where people are going to be coming up, either family, friends, yourself, whoever is going to be going there, the entry should be the most lit and the most welcoming, because that's kind of that you're welcoming home. I love to come home. So start with those areas, the entries, pathways, steps, and then look at the exterior of the property, like the farthest points away, and hopefully there's something tall there. I like to light the corners of the property to make it feel big, and especially if there's trees in the corners. And if there's not a tree, you may think about planting a tree there, because the corners of your property, when they have trees and you uplight them at night, make the yard feel big, and they make it feel really tall. And I love that. So simple design. Now, you get your transformer. You don't have to have the beauty of landscape lighting or low voltage lighting. We're not talking about line voltage lighting where you'd be running, 120 volt wiring and conduit and junction boxes and all this stuff. You don't have to do any of that stuff with landscape lighting as long as it's 12 volt lighting. And so that makes it safe because there's a transformer that transforms the line power from your house down to 12 volts. And of course, make sure that it's plugged into a GFI. If you have a GFI plug, if you don't have one installed, or install it yourself, whatever you can do, because it absolutely has to be plugged into GFI. That makes it safe. Plus the 12 volts, no one's going to get hurt. So you don't have to worry about the electricity aspect of it. Now, you set the transformer up, you plug it into a plug that's GFI protected. You run the wires to there. You just have to know a couple simple rules. You can only put so many watts on a given size wire. So you have to get the wire sized correctly. And that might be a reason why, if you don't know how to do that, it's not really a place for here on the radio show, but you can kind of figure it out online or whatever. And if you don't want to do that, then maybe that would be a reason why you might want to have it professionally installed. Another reason might be the design aspects of it and, the experience that would come with a professional, hopefully, if you find the right one. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you can kind of figure out, and if it's a small system and the LEDs are very low wattage, in some cases 1 watt on some of these, you can't even make a mistake. You could use whatever wire and it's going to be fine. But make sure that you know how many fixtures you're going to use and what the wattage is of each fixture, and add them all up, and then make sure you size the wire correctly. And then you just run that wire back to the transformer and you plug it in and you connect the wires at the light. Doesn't matter which side. There's really nothing complicated about it. It's 2 wires and 2 wires on the light. You connect them together and light comes on. You put a stake in the ground. And so is it a project you could take on yourself? I think so. I guess it depends on you and, how savvy you are with handiwork around the house. If you want a more design-oriented system, if you're not liking what you see at the stores that you're able to buy from, that isn't another thing I wanted to talk about too. I go into the box stores and I see the lighting systems in there, and they sell the kits, and you get this many lights and the transformer and the wire, and you get the clips and everything, and it's $300. I don't know. I mean, you can do those, but don't plan on being totally satisfied with them. And they're definitely not going to be there for a really long period of time. Most of the kits that I've seen that are the, $300 range, it's just, they're really cheaply made, especially the solar lights. The solar lights, I'm all for solar. I got nothing against solar, but I have not yet seen a solar fixture that I like, that looks good, that works reliably, that puts out a nice light, that doesn't put out blue light. So you're already going so low on the wattage with LED that even plugging them into your house, you're not going to be using a whole lot of watts. Most of the fixtures that we use are between 3 and 5 watts. So if you use 3-watt fixtures and you put 10 fixtures in your yard, that's literally 30 watts. So you could burn that 24 hours a day all month and probably wouldn't even notice it on your electrical bill. So not using a whole lot of electricity. So solar, it used to make more sense when you had, a lot of wattage going, 600, 800, 900 watts systems. Then yeah, solar sort of made sense. But again, there was the issues with the fixtures being, the color of the light being blue. They don't really work that long after dark, or if it's a cloudy day, they're not going to come on or be as bright. So I don't know. I haven't seen it. If your house is on solar, there you go. You plug them in and that's the best way to have a solar lighting system, is have your house on solar and then have lights that plug in that work every night. They come on, they're always the same brightness, and they turn off at a certain time. Or I'm of the mind now, I just leave mine on all night from dusk till dawn. Because I don't know why. I used to have them turn off like 2 a.m. or whatever, I'm asleep. I don't know they're turning off. I mean, why would I want it dark in my yard at 2 a.m.? Probably wouldn't. So I figured just leave them on. So I took the timer out. I just put a photocell on my transformer, and that's how they turn on and off. You have a photocell or a timer, or you can do both. So if there is a reason why you would want them to turn off at a certain time, you could put the timer in there, and the photocell will allow it to only come on at dusk. Now, speaking of these, box store lighting systems, what if you didn't want to buy those? Where else can you buy lighting? You can certainly check your local irrigation stores. Believe it or not, a lot of the irrigation stores where that's all they sell, and they mostly sell to contractors, but a lot of them will sell to homeowners. They also carry landscape lighting. That's where we buy ours. We have a few here in Santa Maria, and there's one in Rio Grande, San Luis, Buellton, San Ynez. They're all over the place. And yeah, if you need sprinkler parts too and stuff, they have better parts, better quality, better brands usually. And the price is pretty close. It's either right there with them or not a whole lot more. Now, in the case of the lighting, the fixtures will definitely be more. And that's because they're a higher quality fixture. And if you can get a hold of a fixture that has a lifetime warranty, I love the ones that are made out of copper and brass, and they have an LED light to them. It either has a 10-year or lifetime warranty. Those lights are going to give you the most ease of installation, and we're going to talk about connectors too in a minute. But it's also going to give you worry-free use for years and years. They're always going to work, and to me, that peace of mind is well worth the money, rather than being frustrated on day one installing a cheap kit, and then a couple years later they're falling apart, and anybody that slightly kicks them, or they get moved, or a dog comes by or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're breaking off. If the lights look like they're sideways and tops are falling off and some are working, some aren't working, it can actually have the opposite effect and detract from your yard and make your yard feel cheap. And so please, if you don't want to have that experience, don't start with those. And they're very tempting, because a lot of times even I've seen them at the, I hate to say anyone, whatever store's name, but it's a big giant grocery store. And you go in there and it's like, wow, they have these amazing prices on this lighting system. And it just doesn't work out. So we're going to talk about types of connectors and how you connect the wires so that lasts, because that's a big part of why some of these systems don't last on the other side of the break. So we'll be right back. Don't forget, you can always check us out on the web at ilovetocomehome.com.
You're listening to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on California's Central Coast. Here on 1240 AM and 99.5 FM, KSMA.
Chaparral Pavers, ilovetocomehome.com. Imagine the flickering flames and warmth of a fire pit, soothing sounds of trickling water, decorative lighting, highlighting your landscape at dusk. Driveways and patios, not only functional, but a work of art. This is what Chaparral Pavers does for your landscape lifestyle. You'll love to come home. Chaparral Pavers. Visit us now at ilovetocomehome.com.
If you're thinking about installing a new paver patio or paver driveway, check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Serving the Central Coast since 2001, Chaparral Pavers will work with you to get it right and complete the job to your specifications, as customer service is king at Chaparral Pavers. Paver driveways are stylish and durable and guaranteed to never crack. If your old concrete driveway or entryway is a hazardous cracking mess, it's time to call Chaparral Pavers. Go to their website, ilovetocomehome.com. You'll find all the information you need. Check out photographs of past installations and reviews from Central Coast residents who have used Chaparral Pavers. And don't forget, all installations are guaranteed for the life of your home. So check out Chaparral Pavers online at ilovetocomehome.com. Chaparral Pavers, they'll make you love to come home. Now, back to Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers on KSMA.
And we're back. Okay, we are talking about lighting. Landscape lighting is super important at that time of year when it gets dark early, and I think that's when it really comes to the forefront of most people's minds. Safety is the number one reason, and that's it feels really good when you're walking up to your yard and you can see in all those dark spaces that might be there. And that way you're not wondering, is somebody lurking around the corner or in your backyard, or you know. And a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't go outside at night. And I say, well, okay, but one of our most comments that we get after doing a lighting system is they open the blinds in the evening and they look outside into their yard from inside the house, and their yard looks amazing. If you've recently landscaped and you have a beautiful landscape, or you have a more mature landscape that still looks gorgeous, why would you only enjoy it during the day? Super, super important, and looks even more dramatic in the evening. Water features look insane with lights on them. Trees become more dramatic. When you see a tree during the day, the whole thing is lit, and from the top down. At night, the inside of the tree is lit. It's reversed. Not the whole tree is lit. It highlights the trunk and the branch structure, and it looks really dramatic. So lighting adds interest, drama. It's part of that features, you know, that magic, that it turns a nice landscape into wow factor. Lighting is absolutely huge, on top of being there for the safety of steps, pathways, lighting entryways, so that the entry is the most well lit and welcoming you home. That's what we're all about. That's why we love to come home. Oh, and I was going to tell you too, if you miss any of this radio show, you want to hear it, or you want to hear any of the other shows we have on there, everything's on YouTube. You just type in Chaparral Pavers on YouTube. You can get all of these radio shows and listen to them whenever you want to. You can also go to our website at ilovetocomehome.com, and we have the link down there at the bottom to all the shows. I think the website guys got them all listed out by title, so you can just listen to the ones that interest you. Now, I promised you we're going to finish talking about the installation aspect of putting these lights in. So one of the things that I don't like about those kits that I've seen that they come in the box and they're cheap and they're not going to last, but is the connectors to the wire. They have this little plastic, I don't know what to call it, like a little piece. It's kind of square, boxy, and you put the wire in between there, and it has two little teeth, like little blades, and they puncture the wire. So if you see those connectors where you stick the wire in between the plastic piece, and there's two little shark teeth that are, metal, and they look like little blades, and you pinch it down, and that pierces the wire. Throw those in the trash, please. Because think about it. Where that goes in, any water, you're outside, it's going to rain eventually, or the drip or the sprinklers or whatever, the soil is moist. Water is, you're puncturing the wire, and you're just leaving a piece of metal, and supposedly that's going to seal. It doesn't seal. And what happens over time is that wire corrodes on the inside, and you can't see it. And what corrosion does on the inside of a wire is it works its way back. And it creeps, and it starts going down the length of the wire, and it starts diminishing that connection. And so it'll ruin the whole wire run. And the one thing that's probably the hardest thing of the installation is putting the wire in, because it's real easy to, put the stake in the ground, stick that there, but you've got to run the wire, and you use direct burial wire that's designed for outside, and you don't need junction boxes and all that line voltage stuff. This is 12 volt, low voltage landscape lighting. And you can use that lighting wire. And once all that wire's in, if that wire stays intact, even if the fixture goes bad, you can put new fixtures and reuse the wire if you're not using those connectors. Now, there's a bunch of connectors out there on the market, but the main thing is that they're sealed. So the way I do it is to physically cut the wire with wire cutters, strip the wire back, connect the wires really good, and you cross-lace them. Like there's little hairs of the stranded wire. I kind of fan that out with two fans on either side. Put those fans together, twist it really tight, and you put a silicone-filled connector on there. Now there's multiple silicone-filled connectors. All of them work. Some are better than others. But at least you're on the right track with the silicone-filled connectors, or something that's going to be completely impervious to water. That way your wire runs will always be good. As long as they never see air and water, they won't corrode. They will be sealed in there, and that wire will last. And your fixtures will always come on and be reliable. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. So thank you, and we will see you next week. Again, you can check out this radio show and any of our radio shows on YouTube. Type in Chaparral Pavers, or go to ilovetoComeHome.com.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetoComeHome.com to find out more, or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.